Imagine an aircraft full of hundreds of people all of a sudden vanishes into thin air. You may think this is something out of a sci-fi movie and would never happen in real life. Well then, buckle your seatbelt and stow your table tray, because there's been a lot of these cases in real life. From multi-million-dollar fighter jets disappearing to gigantic passenger planes. I'm Charlie, and today we're going to look at mysterious airplanes that vanished forever. But before we take flight, why not subscribe and press the notification bell too. Coming up first, we have Flight 19 Torpedoes. The date was the 5th of December 1945. Exactly 74 years ago to this date. WW2 was raging on and the US Navy was well involved. On the morning of that day, the US Navy dispatched 5 torpedo bombers. They were going on a routine training flight over the Bermuda Triangle. But shortly after they took off, they were never heard from again. After flying over the Bermuda Triangle, the planes just vanished from the radar. All 14 crew members aboard the flights were never heard from again. And there was no noise coming from their radios, nor were there any distress signals. A few hours later, the Navy sent out an additional 13 men on ships. But they too vanished and were never heard from or seen again. This was one of the first instances of things going missing around the Bermuda Triangle. Since then, many ships and planes have gone missing around the Bermuda Triangle area. But it is very creepy that these 5 planes and then this Navy ship totally vanished and were never seen again. To this day, it remains the #1 mystery of WW2. Next up, we have Amelia Earhart. Amelia Mary Earhart was an American aviation pioneer, and she was also the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean. But on the 2nd of July 1937, a very mysterious thing happened to Amelia. She got into her Lockheed Electra 10E plane with her navigator named Fred Noonan. They took off from Lae, New Guinea, and they were set to complete one of the last stretches of their around-the-world flight. But as they were going over the Pacific Ocean, they totally disappeared. No wreckage or bodies were ever found of Amelia or Fred. A search lasted many weeks and cost $4 million. But absolutely nothing about the aircraft ever showed up. Some say this doesn't make any sense, as many planes who do fall into the Pacific Ocean are washed up eventually. But this flight remains a massive mystery, and to this day no one knows what happened to Amelia Earhart or her plane. Next up, we have Malaysia Airlines MH370. This is a modern aircraft which vanished out of thin air. This is said to be one of the world's greatest aviation mysteries. On the 8th of March 2014, the world was shaken when an airplane went missing. This flight was carrying 239 people. It was going a short distance from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia to Beijing, China. Some thought perhaps the plane went down near the southern Indian Ocean, but after spending many years scouring the seabed, nothing was found. No one knows what happened to the airplane or the people on it. And so far it's been over 5 years since the airplane was last seen. This year, some newspapers reported that the pilot may have wanted to take out everyone on the plane, and because of this, maybe he crashed the plane into the ocean. But as I say, there has been no wreckage, no bodies, and no sightings of this plane, so we just really don't know. Many people have put forward their theories and say that's the official stance, but they are all just that, theories. Next up is Lost F-35. The F-35 is a military jet made by Lockheed Martin. They are one of the fastest, most powerful fighter jets, and just one of these alone costs around $108 million. That's why in 2019, the world was stunned when an F-35 fighter jet from Japan went missing. A 41-year-old pilot named Akanori Hosomi was manning the plane, but following a rapid descent from a high altitude, the plane disappeared from the radar. The plane was going at speeds of around 700 miles per hour, 1,000 feet above the Pacific Ocean. The Japanese Defense Ministry said it's likely that the pilot suffered from vertigo being so high up in the air. But that doesn't really explain why the plane went off the radar. The plane sent no distress signals and the pilot did not try and eject. The fighter jet would have also had proximity sensors sounding an alarm, but the pilot did nothing. After a few days, Japan called off the search for the missing fighter jet. They concluded that the most likely scenario is it crashed into the Pacific Ocean, but really they're just not sure. The pilot was very experienced and had over 3,200 flight hours. But it's not known why this $100 million aircraft dropped off all radars and then was never seen again. Next up is Stardust. One day, British South American Airways plane Stardust was flying from Buenos Aires to Santiago. This happened on the 2nd of August 1947. It took off from Buenos Aires, but it never made it to its destination. Instead, it completely lost contact going over the Andes Mountains. Some say the plane could have malfunctioned and crashed into a mountain, while others think there may have been foul play and they're not sure what happened to Stardust. It was a very famous and beloved plane, but it has not been seen for 50 years. They've tried to find plane wreckage and bodies in the Andes Mountains, but haven't found anything yet. And to this day, Stardust remains a mystery. Next up is Flying Tiger 739. This flight took place in 1962 during the Vietnam War. The US Army Flying Tiger Flight 739 was going from Guam to the Philippines. But it lost contact over the Pacific Ocean. However, the plane wasn't just going over any part of the Pacific Ocean, it was going over the Mariana Trench. The Mariana Trench is known as the most deep and mysterious part of the entire world. It's literally as low down as you can go in the world. At the bottom of the Mariana Trench, you can't see anything in its pitch blackness. But it's said that many unknown creatures live down there, including the ancient megalodon. No distress calls were received from Flying Tiger Flight 739. And despite a massive search involving 1,400 people and 50 aircraft, no one was found. 8 boats also covered a surface area of 144,000 square miles. But no remains of Flying Tiger Flight 739 were ever found. What do you think? Was it to do with the Marianas Trench? I think it was. Next up is Indian Air Force. India is a massive country and they have a very strong air force. But in July of 2016, a mysterious thing happened to an Antonov AN-32 aircraft. This turboprop transport aircraft of the Indian Air Force disappeared with 29 people on board. It was flying over the Bay of Bengal and was en route to an Air Force base in Port Blair. The search and rescue mission quickly became the largest in the history of India. It involved many aircrafts, surface vessels, and submarines. But after a few months of searching in September, the mission was called off. No trace of the Antonov AN-32 or the 29 people on board was ever found. And so far they have no idea what happened to this plane. And finally on the list, we have Vancouver Douglas DC-4. In 1951, the Douglas DC-4 departed from Vancouver, Canada. It was going to stop at Anchorage Airport in Alaska. And during the flight, weather conditions were very bad and the visibility was only 500 feet. Because of this, the pilot signaled an emergency warning. But they reported it way too late and nothing could be done. Then, all of a sudden, the airplane disappeared from all radars. Since then, no trace of the aircraft has ever been found. This is very mysterious, as it was not flying over water, so it didn't go underwater. If it crashed, it must be above ground, but no wreckage was found anywhere. So, what do you think happened to Vancouver Douglas DC-4? Wow, this video was mysterious and also kind of scary. But now it's time to make your opinion known. Vote in the poll in the top right corner. Do you have a fear of flying? If you want some more amazing videos, then check out my second channel. There'll be a link to that on screen in a moment. But as always, thanks for watching. Check out some more videos on screen right now. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and if you haven't already, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to Top 10s.